What's up, you pencil neck geeks? Welcome to the world famous Comedy Store. This is the Store Horsemen podcast. This is the voice of the Darkitect and your real world's champion. Speaking, and to my left, the return of the enforcer, Johnny Scortis. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going? I'm not having a good go right now.
Are you not?
Ooh. No.
Is it because
I'm not
of this
in
echo?
movies. I'm not doing comedy. I work in a fucking office in a tile warehouse.
We had to talk about this. You're the real life Daryl from The Office. You worked in the warehouse. Now you're in the office of the warehouse.
On up.
Yeah.
What are you doing in the office?
I'm filing transfer paperwork, taking it out to dickheads, having other dickheads fuck up my work.
Oh boy,
it's just
but
too much.
your boy Baron Corbin's in the finals of the King of the Ring tournament.
He sure as hell is.
That I like.
There you go.
Yeah, that's like you're like Baron Corbin. You were once very physical, and now you're more of a office like corporate.
No, literally, I've changed my entire outfit.
You wear a
my
vest?
gear is different.
Yeah.
I wear rings
You wear rings?
sometimes.
Do you wear a gold chain with an exposed chest area?
No, I work in a warehouse. I don't have money for that.
Oh, okay. I see. And you heard, well, both of them, but to Johnny's left, the Golden Pony Tony
It's
Hitchcock. ladies
me.
and gentlemen.
Hello, not your real world's champion, but I am your road rules champion.
Oh,
So one extension or another. Let's have some fun this evening.
And to his left, the evil genius, Eddie Firth. What's up, buddy?
Good to see you guys. It's been too long. I missed you. I missed you last week.
Oh, man, we missed you too. The guy we never miss. We're just always shocked when he shows up. The jabroni Josh Martin behind the booth. What's up, dude?
Nothing much. I'm happy to be here, guys. And
Awesome.
good news for the viewers and the listeners. I'm only here for another 20 minutes.
There you go.
Hey, and,
Round of
for
applause.
the cast.
Yeah.
But that's good. Today, not much happened this. Well, a few things happened this week. Not much in terms of like big news stories or anything like that. But it was the go home shows to fucking WWE Clash of Champions 2019. Both shows emanating from world famous Madison Square Garden in New York. The first time in a long time that they've actually filmed at Madison Square Garden, because they usually go to the Barclays now because it's cheaper and it's newer and all the things. Yeah. But they tried to get everybody's pussy wet for these shows this week by advertising that Stone Cold Steve Austin would be on Monday Night Raw and that The Undertaker would be on SmackDown. And it would be the first time we saw either superstar since we saw them last month for the Raw reunion, and then the month before that at the fucking 25th anniversary show.
And it works every time.
And
I'm hard right now.
law of diminishing returns, both shows down in the ratings from the week before.
Right.
Very, very strange. But you guys take a look at the show this week?
Yeah,
No.
I watched. I do feel like I feel like we're at a point where we're basing, like looking at the ratings every week. Clearly, something else is going on. I don't think ratings going up or down is a direct.
I've been saying this
relationship.
for 2 years
yeah,
on this show.
It's not a. I thought. I mean, Monday Night Raw was a blast. The way they used Steve Austin on Monday Night Raw, I thought was a lot of fun. Obviously, I know what everyone's going to say about the Undertaker not coming face to face with the Fiend last night, but I think it was good. Anyway,
What'd you think of the shows this week, Johnny?
I got so excited to see Stone Cold come back out there.
Yeah.
And just do his thing. Even, I'm sitting there with my girlfriend and I'm like, watch, I just wait for him to give him a fucking stunner. Wait. And then he did it and I looked at her and I was like, that right there was worth the price of admission for all those people in that arena.
Yeah.
that was a great Stone Cold segment. He was really Stone Cold in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. And I don't look. Old man, like fondly reminiscing Steve Austin is maybe my favorite Steve Austin.
Can we talk about his shoes?
Oh yeah, he was wearing some very comfortable like.
Well, goddamn, son, these are my tennis shoes.
Right.
Well, they're like Skechers.
It was something
They're
like that.
goddamn Nike, son.
They were Asics.
Yeah. But he hijacked like the first part of Raw, literally just telling anecdotes from his matches at Madison Square Garden, had nothing to do with anything, and I just absolutely loved it. And then he absolutely served a great purpose. And then it was just like, it was such a stark difference between him on the mic and setting up the contract signing between Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins. Then like the moment Seth and Braun came out, it was just like, oh, that's the difference between like scripted promos and like being able to do the shit off the cuff. Because like everything Braun and Seth said was kind of stilted and like dumb, and like they had to work in their. Seth Rollins worked in his catchphrase in one of the most nonsensical ways I think I've ever heard, where he says, "Seeing you here in Madison Square Garden makes me, all the more reason to burn it down." And it was like, that doesn't make any sense.
That's actually exactly how he said it.
Yeah. It was like the exact opposite of what you mean by it.
And the stupid, the crowd cheered for it. I was like, no, please don't do that. Don't encourage this.
Absolutely. But like you said, man, Austin was awesome. He celebrated at the end of Raw with the baby faces after the big 10-man tag match. Made them all look way more major than that's old school shit where you fucking have a huge star, give the baby faces the rub after a victory at the end. He didn't stun anybody else other than AJ Styles throughout the night, and AJ sold it. Fucking masterpiece style. Even The Rock chimed in on social media to congratulate AJ.
Dude,
on
the
the way.
masterpiece was terrible at selling. What are you talking about?
What do you mean? No, you talking about
Chris
Masters?
Masters? Yeah, that was awful.
I mean, like the concept masterpiece.
Oh, I was just thinking about Chris Masters' past. I'm sorry.
But it's something about Austin, man. It's just like the debates have been raging forever about who the greatest pro wrestler of all time is, right? And as I see Austin and his returns and not wrestling and protecting his legacy and still being so damn electrifying when he does show up live and all that, it's getting hard for me to say that Austin isn't the greatest of all time. Do you disagree at this point?
So for me, if I were to debate this one, I would put Stone Cold in the category of Larry Bird, where Larry Bird was diminished only due to injury.
Right.
So the shortened amount of time and the shortened ability at a certain point is where I would say Stone Cold. If Stone Cold didn't get dropped on that stack of dimes he calls the neck by Owen Hart, and he didn't have that surgery, and he was healthy and could go 4 years longer even.
And
without
2 bad knees.
Yeah, like those are the only things to me that would allow somebody else to edge that out, but he is certainly at the top of that conversation at all times. And he's clearly proving how good he is, because when you get on the mic like that, that's Jimi Hendrix picking up a guitar again. That is somebody who's just so good that at any moment they can just electrify like that.
What do you think, Tony?
I think he's up there. It's an interesting one. It's weird. I mean, if you compare it to, say, like a Ric Flair, who is probably 20, 25 years older than Stone Cold at least,
Something like that.
Which would mean that, what was Ric Flair doing 20, 25 years ago? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, yikes. When it comes to on the mic, I mean, good Lord. He was stripping his clothes off and elbowing his underwear or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so, we'll see with Stone Cold. I think he's right up there. He's definitely, appearance to appearance, one of the greatest of all time. There's no doubt about it. And some of the matches that we've seen are absolutely insane. But when we're talking about the GOAT, I mean, I think we have to see how long Ric Flair lives for, how long Stone Cold lives for, how long Stone Cold can talk. You never know. He could get a fucking case of the old, Bobby Heenan's. His mouth could fall apart. Who knows?
God willing not. Johnny, yeah.
Oh, no, to kind of like dovetail on what you're saying, I think one of the differences is that Ric Flair was doing the stuff that Stone Cold was doing, like you said, years before, but there weren't a lot of cameras on him. When Stone Cold showed up, like all the cameras were there, and he kind of just took what Ric Flair was doing and brought it to more people, and more eyes were on him because of it. But Ric Flair was doing that all over the country in arenas.
I agree. Yeah, contextually, absolutely. I mean, as technology grows and products grow and things change about the business, and obviously the WWE had way more reach than the old NWA did back in the day, and WCW after them until they got on Turner, et cetera. By that time, Flair was a lot older. But I don't know, man. There's just something about what Steve Austin can do to a crowd and the impact he had in what ultimately ended up being not that long of a run as the top guy. You know what I mean? Like, compared to Flair or Shawn or other guys, his career as the top main event babyface guy was not that long. But in that time, he became the most, they talk about it all the time. He sold the most merchandise, sold out the most, live events. And then just like the cultural impact of Austin 316. I just listened to an old something to Russell. They were talking about Judgment Day 1998 and how before that they had done a house show in like Southeast Asia. And what everyone was wearing in the crowd, the young people, were Michael Jordan jerseys, some local like martial arts star on their T-shirts, and Austin 316 T-shirts. Like that, those were like the three things. And it's like to think that Steve Austin's able to permeate the mainstream, not like The Rock, because The Rock did it with combination of wrestling and then the career afterwards. Austin was just straight up a fucking pro wrestler. Now, he made his movies. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if anyone's seen The Condemned.
Condemned is trash. I saw it in the theaters.
Did you?
Yeah, and I left. I was like, oh.
I can't remember who it was. Someone recently on Twitter, another wrestler, pitched an amazing idea of Steve Austin starring in a new version of Walker, Texas Ranger. I would watch the shit out of that.
Yeah.
But, his impact is just fucking unbelievable.
In that same vein, because again, you talk about Larry Bird's career being cut short, so he might have been better than Michael or better than Magic, especially for that era.
Yeah.
I think had The Rock chosen not to go to Hollywood and stayed with with wrestling, he would have been the greatest. Because if you look at his mic work, and then if you look at his matches, his in-ring storytelling surpassed a lot of those other guys.
Right.
Like his in-ring storytelling, I would say was superior to Stone Cold. I would say his in-ring storytelling was.
That.
Oh man, go and watch. I'll stand by The Rock's matches. The Rock's matches, the way he laid things out, his pacing, his timing, his feel for what should come next. If he didn't retire to go take over the rest of the world, he would have been the greatest of all time, I believe.
But I think a lot of that he got from working with Stone Cold all those years.
Right. I think Rock's most memorable matches are probably against Foley, the I Quit match. And then
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan, and then like the other were against Austin, but Austin's got like, the King of the Ring win in '96, the Bret Hart
but that
match.
in-ring match wasn't anything special. That was an evening of a story. That's not
right, but it's just like, I mean, Austin had to work with Vince McMahon, who was the most awkward, you know what I mean? Like, couldn't really do anything kind of performer. And then in fairness to your point, Austin has had way more intriguing bad guys to deal with, I think, too. Like, well, not even bad guys, but just foils.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Shawn fucking Michaels.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon, of all people. You know what I mean? Fucking just whoever. Bret Hart. You know what I mean?
But I'll go and I'll say this. One of my personal favorite matches, and one, and somebody's like, what match would you show somebody who's not a fan to get them in, is The Rock and John Cena at WrestleMania 28. And if you go back and watch that, the thing that strikes me the most is the pacing of it. Is that if there's a rest, it's at the right moment. They speed up and slow down the match at the right pace. The way, what I imagine is The Rock going to Hollywood was really like, oh, this is how you pace action sequences within a movie. And so then they also wait for the crowd to tell them to get back up from that slow moment. Like, that's what I like, and that's him at the tail end of his career after he's already done. I mean, Rock and Brock at SummerSlam is great. Rock in all of Austin's matches. Rock and Kurt Angle, right? The triple threat with Undertaker and Kurt Angle. There's so many great moments with him. I think he's just as much in contention for greatest of all time. But the two of them both had their careers cut short for different reasons, which would probably let me pick somebody else for the top spot.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely an interesting debate. We love to hear what you guys think, the Pencil Neck Geeks out there. Tweet us, Rock Austin. Who's the top guy? Or just tell us who you think the greatest of all time is.
Did you guys see that Rock Austin reference on The Good Place last season?
Yes.
I popped big for that one.
Hey, what's The Good Place?
Good
Ted
Place is
Danson
the
show.
Kristen Bell, Ted Danson
NBC show.
sitcom where they're in heaven.
You watch that show?
Oh yeah, on Netflix. Wow. It's not as good as everybody says it is. It's a real slog. It's a real slog.
Welcome to another episode of No Shit.
Yeah.
You're watching an NBC sitcom in your spare time.
Yeah.
You have that kind of spare time. Are you a billionaire? Are you a retired billionaire that you have time to watch The Good Place?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. You have Crohn's. It's the Crohn's.
Yeah.
It's what you get to watch when you're on the toilet.
Yeah.
Speaking of guys that have a lot of time on their hands and are in contention for greatest of all time, Ric Flair made a little bit of news this week because he's suing the WWE for use of the man in reference to Becky Lynch.
Are we positive
thank
about
God.
this?
This is 100%.
Oh, he's actually suing.
Yeah,
him.
this is actually happening.
He made a statement about it
yeah.
as well.
He
And the
certainly
statement is
did.
very accurate in terms of what he said. He's like, this is not a personal issue. I know they love me. The idea of them not respecting him, I think, was a little bit much because I don't think it's about respect. I think they hit on something
Yeah.
that also culturally made sense because they're blurring that line of saying, like, she's the man, even though she's a woman. We're transcending this now.
Yeah. But what do you think? Do you think he has an actual claim? Like he actually has a case here?
Look, as the only Jew in the room, absolutely, this is the move to make. You have to file
Yeah.
the lawsuit because that is an intellectual property he established years before. It's the only thing in these
They'll settle.
instances.
They'll
Yeah,
settle for
exactly.
$150,000.
He'll get a
Yeah,
small
he'll get a
thing.
check. He'll get a little check.
It's the right move to make, only in that if you've created a catchphrase in that industry and you use it over and over again,
Right.
and somebody comes along and uses it again, you have to speak up and say something, and that's how they'll settle. They'll settle for something out of court.
Did
and
they
it'll
say
be-
how much the initial suing is for?
I don't know what the amount was, but it just seems like it's he's coming at it as though they're like using his gimmick to like make money, but it's like Ric Flair as the man. I mean, that's like that's like a reference.
But remember that WWF had to pay Marvel to use the name Hulk from day one.
For
Like, you
sure.
can't- It's to me, it's the exact same thing.
But
And
that was
if-
never. It was never the man, Ric Flair. That was never a thing. He'd always say, "To be the man, you got to beat the man."
And I
And
am
I'm
the
the
man.
man.
Yeah.
But that's you're literally that is
if Becky Lynch,
establishing an intellectual
if
property.
Becky Lynch was stone cold Becky Lynch, sure, but it's like
Except WWE owns that. You notice Stone Cold can't use that outside. It's broken.
Correct.
So what I'm saying is that Ric
But how do you
Flair
own the
established-
man? The man is something that people are called
'Cause that's
through- over across all platforms.
It's a character and a catchphrase, and that is to me. That's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't feel right because it's not this thing where we all like we don't think WWE is violating him and his legacy.
well, I don't. I'm not even
But-
going that far. I just don't think of when I say the man. I don't immediately think Ric Flair. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
The
I-
whole
I do.
catchphrase.
I think
sure.
the catchphrase because I think it goes right too that I absolutely when someone says oh the man I'm like Ric Flair.
This
That's
kind of-
why Charlotte calls herself the Queen because it was a play on her father
For
calling
sure.
herself
The
the
whole
man.
gimmick started this way because she beat Charlotte.
Yeah.
Because Charlotte's whole thing was, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. She beat Charlotte, so now I'm the man. That's how it started. And I get that. But
So
at the
if-
same
if
time,
if you worked for WWE,
if she was
and you said
Nature
this,
Boy Becky Lynch, I'd get it.
you literally just made the court case though.
yeah.
By explaining it that way, you made the case.
I don't
that
think
Yeah.
so.
You just said that
But
she
you
took
did.
it from
Yeah.
Charlotte,
if
You're
Charlotte's
right, but
Ric
Charlotte's
Flair's
not Rick.
daughter.
except
But
that they're playing
now
off the catchphrase
You're
he
playing off a
established,
catchphrase. I totally get that.
which he owns because he established it in 1970
But-
whatever.
But it's not. He's not suing about to be the. If there's no T-shirts that he's suing money for to be the man, you got to beat the man. It's the man, just the man. Two
Yeah.
words that
But it's within
sort
that-
of describe Becky
the
Lynch.
case that his lawyer will make for him
No, I
owning
get
that
it.
is so easy though.
I
That's
get
what I'm
the
saying.
case that's
That's-
being made. I just am like, come on. Rick.
You know what this reminds me
No,
of?
that you have to
Remember
do
when-
that though. That you have to do that.
Remember when
Especially-
Diamond Dallas Page tried to sue Jay-Z
for the
over the use
diamond
of
symbol.
the
Yeah,
gutter?
it's- but that's what
and
I mean.
they settled
that.
and they settled out of court and magically DDP had a yoga career all of a sudden. Like don't think they're not related. How do you think he started that business? They settled out of court because he was right. He invented that thing on TV, established it as a character. Jay-Z started doing it, and in court they're like, well, if he was doing it first as a character, you can't come along and do the same thing. It's a very simple intellectual property issue.
They can just cite this case as precedent.
yeah.
Hello.
I'd be interested to see how that ended.
It's the absolute
but-
right move for Rick to make. It's one of those things where you almost have to do it. You have no choice because the minute you don't stand like that's the thing in the entertainment industry is we
Yeah.
don't own condos and real estate. We own intellectual property.
Right.
So that phrase is something that established his character and gimmick going way back, and it's the only thing he owns. He doesn't own wrestling. He can't do it anymore. That you almost have to at that point. And I respect the idea. The only thing I took umbrage with was when he said in that quote, "They don't respect me anymore," because they absolutely respect you, Rick. That's not how this came along.
Yeah, it just feels like a stretch. It's like other people yell "woo" in their life too, outside of wrestling. That doesn't mean it's like something that Ric Flair. I don't.
Yes,
think
but if somebody started selling
copyright
Woo
it.
shirts,
Right.
he would
People
absolutely
do.
sue.
People do.
I heard that The Rock and Stone Cold are actually filing a lawsuit against the Rock Quarry
Yeah,
in Sunland over there.
But we'll see how it turns out. I would imagine they just give the old man a check and be like, "All right,
Yeah.
it'll be fine." But yeah, man, this weekend. I mean, that's kind of all I got as far as news is concerned. But we got Clash of the Champions 2019. I mean, we can talk
Clash
about
of
some
the
of these.
tampons?
What did I say?
Clash of the
Champions?
The
Yeah.
Champions, excuse me, sponsored by Tampex. And we can kind of talk about some of the storyline stuff that happened as we go through the matches and make our
Yeah.
picks. You guys go with
Any Fiend in this one?
that? Fiend is his presence. I love what they're doing with Bray, where it's like his specter is just like constantly like hovering over everything that happens, and they just don't know when it's gonna explode. And like his Firefly Funhouse this week, where he explained that the reason that he attacked Kurt Angle and Mick Foley, and all that, these are all people that wronged him in a previous life, and that while he forgives, the Fiend never forgets.
This was one
You
of the
know what I
best
mean?
Firefly Funhouses
It was great.
yet. Like, obviously, he's just going to keep getting better with them as
Yeah.
he learns how the character and the
Totally.
segments work. And this, you will love this. It was
And it ended very cryptically because the puppets, mainly Sister Abigail, was alerting him to the presence of a rattlesnake on Monday Night Raw and desperately wanted him to take it out. But he said, look, I can't be mad at a rattlesnake for being a rattlesnake. And that's when he went into the whole thing about all those other people. They had wronged me before, but I don't got a problem with Steve Austin. And then Sister Abigail complains that her clock is stuck on 3:16 ever since Stone Cold showed up. So Bray Wyatt goes to fix it by smashing it with a mallet, changing the numbers to 11:19. Which has led to lots of speculation on what that could mean. Could it be November 19th? Could it be?
Well, do you know what November 19th is?
I don't.
Oh, this is why. November 19th, 1990 is the debut of The Undertaker. That's why there was speculation they were going to confront each other on SmackDown, because The Undertaker's debut was 11/19/1990 at the Survivor Series.
Interesting.
So when they smashed the clock, which, by the way, when he pulled out that mallet, the first thing I was like, I really do want to see him fight Triple H.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Stone Cold would have been good. Clearly they're going Undertaker, but he pulled out the sledgehammer. I was like, okay, yeah, also Triple H. I want to see the Fiend just tear the Triple H apart. Let Triple H job for him.
What about the fucking Acolyte guys? What are their fucking...
Oh, APA? Brad,
No.
Sean, Farouk?
Oh, the
His
Bludgeon
crew-
Brothers?
Yes. With their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he's getting back together with them.
So 11/19
No, I doubt it.
led to everyone on the internet believing that Bray Wyatt or the Fiend was going to confront the Undertaker on SmackDown
What
last
happened with
night.
The Undertaker?
He showed up on SmackDown last night.
To do what?
Essentially was to be there to commemorate being in Madison Square Garden. Pop ticket sales at a rating, which did or didn't work depending on whether you're counting or not. And he and Sami Zayn came out and interrupted him, took a choke slam. But it was more like the opening of the promo was, it's been a while since I've been here, and if I'm never here again, let's remember all the great souls that have passed through these buildings and created their legacy, and I take a little bit of each one of them with me. And
Yeah.
it's The Undertaker being at Madison Square Garden on
sure.
TV for what may or may not be the last time. You never really know.
Sure.
I saw The Undertaker on Saturday. I was watching Texas versus...
Yeah, he came out.
He came out there.
To his entrance music and everything.
Oh, my God.
Gimmicked up? Was he
No,
costumed?
No, he's
Oh.
wearing like a
Longhorns
Texas
t-shirt, yeah.
Longhorns cutoff.
God.
American badass.
He
He
screwed
does
up
not-
Ric Flair's catchphrase.
He does not preserve that gimmick outside the business
Not anymore. Not
Like,
anymore.
he
He's
gave
done
up
it for
on it.
over 20 years. He can be
Yeah.
Mark every now and again.
Yeah.
Why does the WWE hate Sami Zayn? He has won
'Cause he's small.
televised match since
God damn it.
returning. One.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of reasons that they see him in that one little spot.
Because he comes
You
out
may
with
heat him
ska.
up. You know, it's one of those mid-level guys you can heat up and bring him up to something. You can push him down when needed. In all
Yeah.
honesty, to me, getting chokeslammed by the Undertaker doesn't hurt him all that much.
I mean, nothing can hurt. I mean, he's winless essentially since returning from injury that kept him out almost a year. It's like you said, they kind of treat him like Samoa Joe, where it's just like, we can just beat him all the time. It doesn't matter because he's so good, we can at any time heat him back up.
Yeah. But
I feel like then you end up with people who just don't fulfill their potential in the company. Like Kurt Hennig is a perfect example of that. He became, after that initial run as the perfect Intercontinental Champion, and they let him get beaten by Brutus the fucking Barber Beefcake, of all people. After that, it was just like, well, Perfect's just going to put people over.
I disagree with that slightly. I think everything that Perfect did up through the back injury in 91 was still incredible work. He did great work with Hogan on TV. He did everything with Brett that needed to be done. He elevated guys like the Warrior and Texas Tornado in matches they needed.
But he just put people over.
But that was his back injury. That was his back injury. Because by 91, when he lost the belt to Brett at SummerSlam, it was just his back. And when they brought him back, he was always a shell of his former self. And
he could still go.
But not as he could.
He also could put people over, whereas like Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe, you know what I mean? They can't really put people over.
Well, they put them over in the sense that they're gonna have a good match with whoever.
Yeah.
And then they can lay down, and then no one's gonna think that they're a shitty wrestler because they laid down. Yeah. Just shockingly this week. Well, not even shockingly. I said it last week on the show. Fucking Baron Corbin.
Speaking of shitty wrestlers.
Yeah. Baron Corbin. Like I said this last week. It's always about how you use people, right? And Baron Corbin as a mid-level heel, you know what I mean, doing dastardly things, not just being annoying, but actually doing dastardly things, is the right place for him. And this week, completely bared fruit. You got "Let's go Corbin sucks" chants during the King of the Ring triple threat match. And I'll just go ahead and make one of my picks right now. Baron Corbin not only is going to be the King of the Ring, should be the King of the Ring. How do you feel about that?
Look, especially given the choices that they have right now going into the match, absolutely. It's Baron Corbin all the way.
King Corbin.
I also am very interested if that comes with a gear change for
him.
So if he
first
really
of all,
goes full King gear.
First of all,
hell yeah.
The tank top's got to go. Add the crown. Yep. Add the shit. Because, we talked about this last week, but what good is it if a babyface wins King of the Ring?
Nothing.
It's a heel thing to be the king, right?
The only time it's useful for a babyface is if it's a tournament in a single night so they can overcome the odds.
Sure. But it's like if I came in here dressed as a king and that was my new gimmick for the podcast, or Matt, it's not the same as when this asshole dresses up as the king and makes us all despise him. You know
I
what
don't even
mean?
need to dress like a king.
Yeah, exactly.
Why have the crown when you can have the swagger?
and a scepter is just an aggravating thing for someone to hold. You know what I mean?
You know what I'd like to see his gear look like? Remember how we were talking about the Bret Hart long trunks and upper singlet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd love to see the tights and the singlet in some sort of king-like design.
Who else
on
is
him.
in this King of the Ring?
I want to see
It's him and Chad Gable now. Just him
the
and
finals
Chad
are
Gable.
him versus Chad Gable.
That's it.
Well,
Ready, Willing, and Gable.
The tournament up to this point has been phenomenal, in my opinion, and they've used it to elevate Gable. Because look, I know you don't like him, but he's short and all that. And they keep doing the short joke thing. But at least they've showcased that the fucker can wrestle in in the tournament. You know what I mean? The fucker can go. I mean, he was an Olympian just like Kurt Angle, and he defeated Shane McMahon this week, who had entered himself into the King of the Ring after Elias was injured, and which led to the whole KO firing angle, which happened at the end of the show. We'll talk about in a little bit. But I think that's all you needed to do with Gable in this thing. Show him that he can go. Let him get some wins on television. Doesn't need to win the whole thing. Could set up a feud between him and Corbin after Corbin beats him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you guys
fine.
been watching The Dark Crystal at all on
No.
Netflix? Do you know
I've
what a
been too busy
Skeksis
watching
is?
The Good Place.
No.
A what?
Corbin needs to come back dressed
How
like
you
a fucking
guys-
Skeksis.
What do you guys?
We're not on the road like you are.
How
That's
about
a big
here?
difference.
Don't you want more for your life?
What do you do?
Good place, the Dark Crystal, and you're
Oh,
complaining
so
about
good.
working in a fucking warehouse. And you're going home and watching the Dark Crystal.
On the weekends, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll just keep. Yeah, and it's not the road either, pal.
No?
I do shit here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every night, multiple spots a night, writing new
That's what I'm
jokes,
saying. That's what I'm
tagging
saying.
things.
Yeah.
I just wrote the Comedy Central roast going up against Clash of Champions this Sunday, the most watched annual comedy event. It's my 10th roast.
Yeah.
Getting jokes on. You're
That's what
watching
I'm
The
saying.
Good
We don't
Place.
have the same job.
I mean, I wouldn't have that
we're
job
waiting,
either
yeah.
if I was watching The Good Place
Yeah.
or the fucking Dark Crystal.
It's so good.
I'm uninspired by you guys. Not
Oh,
Chris.
man.
Chris is killing it.
Thank you, sir.
But I want you guys to. I want you to think of me every time you are about to watch The Good Place.
Done.
I want you to think of me and grab a fucking notebook and a pen. And the first 12 minutes will be hard, but at minute 13, I'll bet you have an idea, and you're gonna fucking text
Only
me. And
only one of us can be searchable on Netflix right now, though. So let's just remember that one.
Oh my goodness.
How would somebody search you?
Historical roast would come up.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You mean Jeff
oh,
Ross's historical roast with everybody on it but you?
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
I made a cameo.
I love this.
did?
I love this.
You're adorable.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Did you watch it? No. Thank you, Tony.
No, why would I watch?
Why would you watch?
some
Not
show
watching The
with a
Good
bunch
Place or The Dark Crystal. What do you
old
think he's going to
celeb-
watch it?
of old celebrities reading jokes written by young people?
I
Oh,
don't know,
boy.
I've done some things.
You Have you?
Yeah.
What'd you do this week?
No, I'm just saying. In
In general.
you know.
I got you. Right on. I did some things too. Uh,
And by the way, I was searchable on Netflix back when people were still watching it. It wasn't
Oh, yeah.
a swampland of dog shit.
are you guys going to watch the network this week and watch Clash of Champions?
No.
I'll catch up. I'll catch up on it.
All right, well, let's go through this card real quick, shall we?
I'm not allowed to anymore.
So we got
I watched Clash of Champions.
Clearly I'm not
That has
allowed
to
to.
do with a work project.
I'm going to Hulu.
All right. So we're going to do it. I'm the champion, so I got to go first, right? We're world champions. Got to make it happen. It's fine by me.
Making picks?
Yeah,
All
got to
right.
do it.
Is that the new belt?
No.
That's
This
yours.
is the real world title.
So that just stays with
This
you.
is like the smoke and skull belt. When
You
I'm the
bought that.
champion, this is my thing.
You bought that.
Mhm.
Yeah. That rickety thing that somehow is all fucked up ever since Johnny had it.
What are you talking about? I haven't had that thing in months.
It's true.
It's been in like Matt's fucking bedroom
That's true.
It was at my
doing whatever
place
the
for a
fuck he's
long
doing with
time.
that.
That's true. So AJ Styles versus Cedric Alexander for the United States Championship. I think you have to keep it on AJ for now. They're trying to push Cedric, but I think it's kind of the same thing they've done with Chad Gable, where it's like they showed him get some wins in the King of the Ring tournament, but the club needs to have a title in that stable right now to stay relevant. So AJ Styles all the way.
Yeah, I'm
Johnny?
actually kind of looking forward to this. I like what Cedric Alexander does in the ring, and anytime fucking AJ Styles is in the ring,
Yeah.
you know, I'm all about it.
Well, they're going to tear it down. It's
Yeah.
going to be a great match.
So, but I'm going to go with Styles because I never bet against AJ Styles.
That's true. You don't.
What belt does AJ Styles have now?
He's the
The
United
US
States champion.
championship?
I'm gonna go. I don't know much about what's going on right now, but something in my gut's telling me they're gonna put that belt on Cedric and move AJ up.
Interesting. All right. Eddie?
I'm gonna go with AJ on this one.
All right. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross defend their WWE Women's Tag Team titles against Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. I think that they keep it as well. I think that Bliss and Nikki got sort of involved in the Bayley Sasha Banks thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably going to be the payoff in that. And then I think eventually Sasha and Bayley are going to be the women's tag team champions again now that they're both heels. But so I'm going with Alexa and Nikki to retain.
Same.
Who are they going against?
They're going against Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville.
Yeah,
Fire and Desire.
retain.
Yeah, I agree. They're keeping the belts because I think you're going to see Sasha Banks and Bayley as champions and tag team champions going into the Hell in a Cell against Charlotte and Becky.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be your double, like all titles on the line.
I
all
think
at
so
once.
too. Winner takes
So
all.
something happens on the first SmackDown. That's when Bayley and Sasha get them.
Roman Reigns is taking on Eric Rowan, who I know that Rowan attacked Daniel Bryan last week. I know that he did that.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing is, I don't need. He started to cut a promo, which could have been a great promo, but it didn't go anywhere. Where he could have brought up the fact that he used to follow Bray Wyatt, that he used to team with Luke Harper, that then he was following Daniel Bryan, but now he doesn't need anybody, you know what I mean, to tell him what to do and blah, 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 blah. But he didn't name any of those people. He just said that he has a mind of its own.
Look at my eyes.
All
and
that
then he couldn't
stuff.
find the camera.
Right, exactly.
Couldn't find the camera.
And so it didn't sit right. Also, the fact that Daniel Bryan wasn't on SmackDown this week kind of feels suspicious to me. I still think Daniel Bryan is behind this Roman Reigns thing, storyline-wise. I don't think that Rowan putting him through a table last week, I think that's all part of the plan. Because why put Rowan by himself right now, unless they're planning to push this big ginger-bearded fucking bastard. With that said, I still don't think he beats Roman Reigns on pay-per-view. I'm going with Roman Reigns over Eric Rowan in a no disqualification match, even though that stipulation could suggest that Daniel Bryan gets involved. But I just don't see them pinning Roman 1, 2, 3.
Do you see them working an angle where Daniel Bryan gets on Roman Reigns for not having a vegan lifestyle, and that's what gave him cancer?
That's what gave him
Roman,
cancer?
if you were vegan, you wouldn't have gotten leukemia.
All those GMOs you ingest.
I'm not interested in this fight at all. This seems like like it should take place in a bar in Florida.
It probably has before.
You know, but I'll go with Roman Reigns.
I'm going to go with Eric Rowan on this one.
Interesting pick.
I do believe that Daniel Bryan will make an appearance, and the fact that it is no disqualification leads me to believe that that's just the excuse they need to beat Roman Reigns on a pay-per-view.
That's exactly where I was going with this. I think Daniel Bryan shows up. He and Rowan double-team Roman. Roman takes the loss because that builds then to later, and Roman gets his win back against Daniel Bryan. He'll probably take Eric Rowan out on SmackDown one night. It'll be one of those you got to beat him to get to Daniel Bryan things.
Sure. Excuse me. Becky Lynch defends her Raw Women's title against Sasha Banks. This is probably the toughest one on the pay-per-view for me because Sasha just returned. She's got all the heat in the world. She's always best as heel. This is her first time being a heel on the main roster. But it's fucking Becky Lynch, the man, as it were. You know what I mean? Does she take a loss? Because, like I said, I think that it's leading to the Charlotte and Becky versus Bayley and Sasha for the tag team titles. But who's going to be the singles champion when
So
that
the
happens?
hardest part for me is only how she's being pushed in mainstream.
Yeah.
Right? Becky Lynch just did the ESPN commercials. She's all over the place. They're on men's or what were they on, the Muscle and Fitness?
Muscle and Fitness, her and Seth,
So
yeah.
my thought is, in storyline wise, this is the exact time for Sasha Banks to beat Becky Lynch and take the title because because having Sasha and Bayley both have those titles going into that Hell in a Cell. If they can take all four of them, the tag titles and the other and the Raw and SmackDown women's titles, it's the perfect setup. I think it's the perfect moment to pull it off Becky just so it doesn't get stale and it reinvigorates that fire to want to see her be the best at all times. I think you can even insert Bayley or even Charlotte accidentally costing Becky the title. Like there's so many ways to do it now versus later.
I'm motivated.
And you get more.
I'm going to say Sasha Banks wins because I think that'll give Becky the further impetus to team with Charlotte, even though she really doesn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
If she loses her belt because she can't overcome the numbers game of Sasha and Bayley, then it makes sense then that she has to team with Charlotte to take them down. Yeah. Until, of course, Ronda and her 4 horsewomen show up and beat the shit out of all 4 of them. Johnny?
You guys convinced me. I think I'm going to go with Sasha. And doesn't
now
Ronda
I'm
Rousey have
concerned.
4 fingers right now?
Well, yeah,
Didn't
she
get her,
cut
like,
off
finger
one of her
fucking
fingers,
chopped
but they reattached it. She's good.
They did?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
See, now I'm concerned because I think every time you've picked Sasha Banks, you've got it wrong on these predictions.
Yeah, you're probably right about
I think
that.
that's happened every single time.
Ugh.
But because I did it first, I'm going to say that the real world champion is going to rub off
You know what?
on
I'm
you.
switching my pick to Becky.
Oh,
Fuck you guys.
Interesting. Okay, Tony?
I'm going to go with Becky Lynch on this.
Mm.
It's an easy one for me because, I just don't see the, I don't know. I mean, maybe not watching for a while is a is helping me on this one. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Perhaps Eddie.
I'm gonna stick with Sasha Banks on this one. I think this is. I think this is the opportunity to make that title switch and have it mean something, and have it build to something, and have it mean that much more when Becky gets it back in a little while.
I do agree with you how you were saying that all this stuff happening for Becky Lynch right now, it'd be the perfect time to take it off her, because when people are invested in her, they want to follow that storyline of her trying to win the championship
Chasing
again.
it, yeah.
So
It's the only reason I pause and hesitate to say Becky would keep it is because of the mainstream attention, and they like having the face of a company with the title. But I think it does help in the long term of, like, now there's a story on ESPN the next morning. The man Becky Lynch just lost the title, and you know, Bailey helped cost, and maybe Charlotte Flair was there. All of this
it
other
makes
stuff
all the others involved way more.
And when it goes to the cage, where do you want to see Becky Lynch succeed and hold that belt over her head?
Right.
In that double title match, and then all of a sudden Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair become women tag team champions, and each one of them has the Raw and SmackDown women's champions over their head. They have 2 belts, and then they're Becky and Charlotte 4 belts.
I definitely think that's where it's headed. Another title defense, because of course it's the Clash of the Champions. All titles are on the line. Shinsuke Nakamura is defending his Intercontinental title against The Miz. I loved that they had Shinsuke do commentary this week and that he only spoke fucking Japanese. Like, we've been talking about that forever. Yeah. Why ever have him speak English? He doesn't need to. Just let him fucking be Shinsuke Nakamura, for God fucking sakes.
Brilliant.
Shinsuke is going to kick Miz's goddamn head off. What do you say, Johnny?
Uh-oh. Look at the wheels turning.
I saw him.
Live
The bus wheels.
Oh, there it is. There's his pick.
I
I agree with Johnny on this. I'm going with Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yes.
Then just to be contrarian, I think, because here's the thing though: if Miz if Miz wins the Intercontinental title, he tops Jericho's
he
number.
ties Jericho.
And I think that's something that oddly
Bless
this
you.
company has always kind of done. The way they don't say that's why Randy Orton won the world title at a young age, but it was definitely subtext was like, we don't want Brock Lesnar to be the youngest champion in our history, because they weren't happy with him at
Well,
the
it's just
moment.
the same reason they let New Day be the longest reigning tag champions,
Exactly.
because Demolition is suing the WWE, and they were like, fuck the Demolition.
what
I
are they
would-
suing
I would
WWE for?
Probably for use of some catchphrase
knows?
that
I
coincides with
want-
their gimmick.
I want Shinsuke to win. I think that this is a perfect opportunity for Miz to just elevate the title without winning it, but I think there's a really good chance Miz walks away with it, because it just seems to be one of those titles that doesn't have that longer term thought to it. So it's very easy to pull the trigger on a switch like that.
Yeah.
Especially on a night where you're saying all titles are being defended, and these are probably the only 2 that have any real chance of switching hands, the Intercontinental and then maybe one of the women's titles.
I feel like that's sort of why they almost wouldn't do it, though, right? Because, like, they do not want to say Chris Jericho's name right now. Have they in any of these?
Well, they don't
things?
have to. They will just say
They just say
he is
record
now
tying.
a record. Yeah, a record
Right.
time.
They kept saying that on SmackDown, but because they kept repeating it, it felt like they were just saying that to make it seem like Miz could win, even though he's not going to. Like that,
Yeah,
because they hadn't really talked about it.
I know.
I feel like they're.
I'm doing it just to make sure there's a vote on something else.
And
in
also,
this one.
finally, Shinsuke's doing something interesting.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
want
you
him
gotta
to
keep
win.
the title on him.
So you know the Miz is going to win.
I know
yeah.
that's true too. God damn, where is Asuka? The New Day.
What's the deal with that? She's hurt.
No, she's in a tag team with the other Asian girl, Kairi Sane, and we've only seen them wrestle on SmackDown, I think, once. The New Day is defending their SmackDown title against the Revival. I think that's New Day all day.
The New Day actually has have the titles right now.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah, they totally are going to win. Johnny?
I'm going with the Revival because I like them better.
I love the Revival too,
Wow.
but they didn't sign those contract extensions. I don't think WWE
Oh, they
likes that
didn't?
very much. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going with the New Day.
All right, I'll go New Day.
Yeah, New Day.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick against them.
New Day.
That'll be on the pre-show.
Drew Gulak is going to defend his
Hulak?
Yeah. Is going to defend his title against Humberto I don't even know who
Jesus
Humberto
Christ.
Carrillo is, and Lince Dorado. That shows you the last time I saw 205 fucking
I'm pretty
live.
sure I work with these people.
Yeah.
These are employees.
Now here's one that's actually kind of tough for me too.
These are the guys that took your job in the actual warehouse.
Yeah.
Hey, you have an office job now,
Wait, is
Johnny.
this Becky and Charlotte?
This is
No, no,
Umberto.
no.
He's your
I mean
replacement.
Charlotte and Bailey. Because
No, no.
now I realize that match is on the card, and I may switch my Sasha
All
Bailey.
right, we'll get there.
Sasha Becky
This
thing.
is Kofi Kingston defending his WWE title against Randy Orton. Now, I feel like Randy's been brilliant in the build-up to this, but it almost feels like Kofi needs this win to finally solidify himself as a legit world champion. I almost feel like he's got to get this victory.
I agree with that. Even though Randy Orton's been champion dozens of times and a lot of people don't give a shit about him,
Yeah.
for Kofi Kingston to beat someone like him, that's like a signature win.
Yeah.
This
on-
is also
on his
when we
thing.
talk about title reigns, we always mention that if you look at the history of title reigns, especially when somebody wins a major title at WrestleMania, their first feud out the gate needs to
Usually
be somebody they
yeah.
can just it's not good. You can't
Yeah,
build
usually
from
sucks,
there.
yeah.
This is the one where all of a sudden there's stakes and it means something, and then when Kofi beats Randy Orton, it does mean something, and it elevates his.
And him and the Revival have been beating the shit out of the
And
New
it's
Day.
going to go to Hell in a Cell
Yeah.
anyway. I think it's this one to me screams of non-finish. This one screams to me of the Revival and New Day getting involved, and that's why they have to go to Hell in a Cell to keep everybody out.
Ooh, I'd love to see that 3-on-3 in a cell. That
Oh, that's
would
a
be
good-
pretty
that's good.
sick. That'd be
Let
pretty
me
sick.
ask you this: Is this the? Do they count this as the championship? This belt?
They sort of push the Universal as the championship because
Oh.
that's the Lesnar belt. That's the the Raw belt.
Right.
It's red.
But this is the one that has the lineage.
Right.
Kofi,
This
this
is
is
the
the belt
real
that Nature
title.
Boy Buddy Rogers,
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan, and Stone Cold all held.
And WrestleMania's in April,
Right.
Yeah.
and John Cena's one win away from
Correct.
Yes.
tying Ric Flair's thing.
From beating
Beating Ric Flair's
We
thing.
saw him tie it.
Yeah.
He's tied.
You want to hear my little theory?
Oh, interesting.
Long term, another Tony. I'm good at these long term.
You are
theories.
you got a decent record with this.
In retaliation for this Ric Flair humbug,
Yeah.
they're going to pull the trigger on that and put something on John Cena.
Oh,
in
yeah.
this next, really maybe sooner than even WrestleMania.
I think that's inevitable, but I don't think Kofi loses the title until Brock Lesnar beats him on the first SmackDown on Fox.
That's what I
And
would bet.
By the way, I agree with all that, but I'm just putting that out there that eventually Kofi's going to drop it to somebody, and that somebody's going to lose it to John Cena.
I'd love to see all of that on the first SmackDown.
I think
Kofi and Brock on the first SmackDown, then Cena comes out and beats Brock. Oh,
and by the way, I think
Rappel-do.
that's very, very, very plausible.
that's a
I
big
think they're
night.
giving Cena a nice little, vacay because of the Fox deal. Because they're going to use the dog shit out of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's
If he's
making movies,
available,
man.
He's going to be available. He's not that
locked
good
up
of an
like
actor.
crazy.
Yeah. He's no.
They love
he's
him in
no
China.
Rock.
They keep using him in Chinese movies.
Well, that's not the best of signs.
Isn't
It's
he
a big market. It's
he's
a
a-
big market.
He's replacing
China-
Rock in the next Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah,
Who's that?
those are big dollars. China's movie like box office gross matters a lot
Well,
more
there's a
than the
billion
U.S.
of 'em.
right now.
I
yeah.
once saw the wrestler China's box office.
Yeah.
gross.
It was pretty just gross.
That's what. Yeah. Sean Waltman was big in China too.
Hey,
Jesus.
But I am gonna go with. How far is Randy Orton from that record? Pretty far. 5,
Not
6, 7,
really.
8.
Not that
he's
far.
at 12, I think.
He might be 12 or 13, yeah.
Man, because that could be another. Well, no, that would take too long. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kofi Kingston on this one. Why not?
Kofi. Kofi walks out with the title. He should. He should.
All right. Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman versus Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler for the Raw Tag Team titles. I think Ziggler and Roode take those belts off of them because I know WWE likes to do that when it's like, oh, here's a thing you want to kind of see, and then they'll just like take it from you all of a sudden. Like when Kofi and Seth fought the night after winning their respective titles, like, oh, let's make one champion, and then we just didn't get it for whatever reason. And somebody's like rubbing.
How
whose
did
tits are
how did
those?
Seth and Braun end up being
Oh, it's
together like this?
Well, because they were being attacked by initially it was a Revival, right?
Yeah.
That was attacking Braun, and then Seth. No, they were attacking Seth, and Braun came out for the save, and then Seth saved him the subsequent week, and then they were like, "Well, we should." Oh no, it was the club.
They took the belts off the club.
The OC. They were in the mix attacking Seth. Braun came in for the save. The week after, Seth saved Braun from the club.
So they're clearly just setting this up for Seth and Braun to fight each other.
Well, Seth and Braun are
That's
fighting
the
each
main
other.
event.
That's the main event. Because
what?
they're the tag team champions on Raw, but
And
Braun wouldn't
Braun
stop staring at Seth's title, Universal
So they're
Championship.
doing 2 matches.
So they're having 2 matches, and what everyone is like, this is the first time ever tag team champions will face each other for the Universal Championship. So I feel like
for
WWE is going
sure.
to take the tag team titles
Yeah,
off
they're
of
going to
them.
start that match in this tag team match,
Yeah,
and that's how Ziggler and Roode are going to win.
exactly.
Too easy.
The only
And
Sometimes being a writer's no fun.
I think
what's your
I think-
pick, Eddie, and what do you think of the name Rudolph for this tag team that they keep calling
Hey,
it?
I like that.
I think that you would take the tag titles off of them before the main event. However, it's a very interesting. If you're saying that tag team champions have never faced each other for the Universal for any major title, that is an also intriguing thing to do for the first time.
Well, that's how they keep building it up. But once
I get it. They usually take that out of the equation.
But also, I mean, it's the law. It's like you already got everyone's money.
yeah,
You know what I mean? You built it up as like tag team champions going against each other for the title.
It just
Everyone's already watching.
Just to vote different, I'll say that they retain the titles. Just to vote different. Otherwise, I'm saying the same things you guys said.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where is this Clash of the Champions, by the way? Do you know?
This
On
is
the
taking place
WWE
in
Network.
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Ah, I like Charlotte.
Woo! Speaking of which, Charlotte is taking on Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And they keep advertising that this would be Charlotte's 10th women's title win.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just don't think she's going to win because of that. And
I almost switched picks. When I heard this match was coming, I was like, well, Charlotte's going to beat Bayley. And then I realized, like, but if Becky and Charlotte have both major titles and Sasha and Bayley get the tag titles, there's no actual plausible reason they would join. But if you put both of those major titles, then the tag titles on Sasha and Bayley, if they have all of them, then Becky and Charlotte are compelled to team up. So I don't think Charlotte walks away with this either. But I think it's the same as the Becky match. There's chicanery. I don't think it's clean. I don't think it's simple. I think Sasha helps Becky retain. I think Bayley. I think Bayley helps Sasha win the belt. I think they're going to involve each other in those matches that night. And so Charlotte does not get the title win.
what do you guys think?
I'm going to go with Bayley.
Uh-huh.
Tony?
Charlotte's named after Charlotte. She is, it's like
Flair country.
yeah. WWE's always weird with that stuff.
Yep.
They like to give L's on birthdays and whatnot.
They had Sasha Banks lose to Charlotte in her hometown.
No, Bayley lost
in Boston.
San Jose.
And Bayley lost in San Jose. Yeah.
And JR always got the shit kicked out of him
In
in
Oklahoma, always.
He had a brick broken over him one time. God damn it. It was a cinder block, sorry.
And I will say that while it is embarrassing that they even make this a realistic match, like I mean, again, Bayley is so bad at this. She's not good at it at all, and nothing is interesting about her. I see how a lot of people could get off on like a side ponytail and all this shit.
Yeah.
But there's nothing there. I predict a botch by Bayley in the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
And the last 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
No doubt the last 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Sure, her ankles go bad after 7 minutes. But still, I cannot, even knowing all of this and hearing what you guys have said, I still just simply cannot bring myself to pick Bayley over Charlotte.
Mhm.
So I will pick Charlotte Flair for her 10th
Smart pick.
championship.
Not bad. That one's tough because I could see it going either way. Where it's like, a major title is with each camp. The SmackDown title is with the Bayley and Charlotte camp. The Raw title is with Sasha and Bayley. It's like, and then who knows? Who knows?
Shenanigans could totally happen. But if in a world, if they fucking ever had Bayley beat Charlotte in a match clean,
She's done it before.
a long time ago, like way back.
I'm
right?
talking on the main roster.
Yeah.
Her first women's title was beating
Yeah.
Charlotte clean.
Yeah, that makes sense though.
Yeah.
I think that to
Long
me
time
the
ago.
most tension in the story
Yeah.
is if Sasha and Bayley are helping each other keep and win those titles.
Yeah.
And that compels Becky and Charlotte to join forces. If Charlotte had the title and Becky doesn't, the fuck does Charlotte care?
Right.
And Charlotte's even played that on television.
Totally.
She's still like, I'm not a good person still. Like,
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
get
yeah,
this
yeah.
twisted.
Yeah,
I'm
not a baby
part-
face. I don't like you
Yeah,
people.
I don't like you. So in that, it's only compelling if neither of them have those titles and they both got screwed out of them and the tag titles are on the line and it's a Hell in a Cell and they're like, let's go for it. The two of us say, if you're really as good as you say you are, put everything on the line.
Right.
And we get every belt if we win and you get every belt if you win.
We'll see.
That's
how it
a hell
goes.
of a Hell in a Cell.
I agree.
That's
We
a
know-
hell of a cell.
I don't know a woman that has ever just had one belt. They always have
Several. Absolutely several.
options.
My mom had a belt that looked like the Universal title.
Hilarious.
So-
My mom used to hit me with a belt that had one of those old cowboy buckles on it. Hung right on the inside of her closet door. I was a bad boy. Did you guys get whipped as kids?
Oh, fuck
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I grew up in a black household, dude. Absolutely.
My grandma always used a wooden spoon that hung on the refrigerator.
I was hit with kind of whatever was in reach at the time.
Oh.
A lot of
Mhm.
times
Steel chair?
the slipper would get pulled
the
off.
slipper.
Just whatever.
I would almost I didn't even mind the slipper. I'd still sell it.
Yeah,
See,
you gotta
selling.
sell it. You gotta sell it.
Ah!
Yeah. Everything hurts like hell
yeah.
when
Yeah.
you're a kid and you're
Yeah.
getting whooped.
Yeah.
That's
Just so
your
they
first,
stop, yeah.
That's your first sell job is getting whipped as a kid.
Did it ever happen to you guys that you tried to hide under the bed and then got stuck and like your ass was just out there?
Yeah, Jesus.
No, not all of us are morbidly obese.
At 7?
I just got slammed against walls, so
Yeah.
there was
that
no place to
true?
go.
That
yeah.
too.
Lordy.
Like your back up
like-
against
yeah,
it. Did your dad do it?
Stepdad.
Oh, you let your stepdad do that to you, bro?
I mean, he was 3 times my size. There was no choice. It was not a.
That's where you learned how to sell.
If I could have figured out how to get out of that one, I would have.
Yeah. And speaking of not being able to get out of a situation, Kevin Owens was fired on SmackDown. He was to be the special referee in the Shane McMahon Chad Gable match for the King of the Ring semifinal. Shane McMahon told him that if you do your job the correct way, quote unquote, then I'll drop this $100,000 fine that I'm fining you for attacking Elias when he was a referee, blah, 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 blah. Kevin reluctantly agrees. The entire match, he's doing what Shane wants. He's doing fast counts on Gable.
Except for the first fall.
Except for the very first fall.
So just WWE wanted to remind you they still can include convoluted story writing if you
Absolutely.
thought they cleared it up in the last 6 weeks. They're like, no, watch what we can
still
do.
do it. Absolutely.
We still know how to screw up the one thing we were setting
just
up.
rewrote this.
Yeah.
100%. But Gable overcomes, makes Shane McMahon tap. Owens has no recourse but to call for the bell because Shane's tapping.
In fact, he didn't even call for the bell. They just rang
They just
it.
rang it, right. So afterwards, he's saying to Shane, what do you want me to do? What did you want me to do? Blah, blah, blah. He turns his back to Shane. Shane attacks him from behind, drops him, and then gets on the mic and says, you're fired. You're fired. Get out. So the no Shane, no Kevin on this pay-per-view. Rumors are that KO might even show up on NXT when that debuts in October on USA.
He could be on it right now for all we know.
True enough. But I don't know. Any thoughts on this seemingly never-ending feud between these two?
Wait, are we done with the picks?
There's one more pick.
Oh, okay.
But
It's
since
just-
neither
just
are on the
about this?
pay-per-view, I figured I'd just throw
Huh.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad for everybody. It's bad for us. It's bad for them.
Kevin Owens is a main event talent, and
Amen.
either put him there or. And I genuinely, when I didn't see it, but I just saw the headline Kevin Owens fired. I thought it was real.
Yeah.
I thought he had really pissed. I thought he had gone in and yelled at them for how badly he was being used. And they're like, then get the fuck out of here. And he was going to go somewhere else. And I was kind of happy for him for a second.
I mean, Jesus, imagine if he was a free agent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good
Holy
Lord.
shit.
You want to talk about star power in AEW? That's the person
mean,
I would tune in to watch.
That would be unbelievable. That'd be a huge,
Yeah.
huge get for them.
Dude, The
I
return of Kevin Steen? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I would watch AEW every week if
Yeah.
Kevin Owens is
So
there,
would
Kevin
I.
Steen.
And I don't even watch WWE every
Yeah.
week, but I'd watch AEW every week. If I
Fight,
knew
Steen,
KO was on it,
fight.
I'd want to see who he's going against. And I mean, imagine the matches with him and Omega or Jericho and all that.
You
They're
know what I
back
do?
again.
If I'm Kevin Owens and I did get released from WWE and I do go to AEW, I would show up not as obviously can't be Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
I don't show up as Kevin Steen.
Really?
I show up as Owen Steen.
Owen Steen.
I show up as
Hilarious.
Owen Steen because you still have all your fight Steen fight and everybody knows and you do all
Love
the
that.
and I'd be like, no, call me Owen Steen. I'm Owen now.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he chose that last name as a tribute
Yeah.
to Owen Hart.
Also,
that
Owen
true?
Steen
That's
sounds
true.
Wow.
Jewish.
Well, it's a shame he's gonna have to drop Owen because
And then the final match, Clash of the Champions for the Universal title, Braun Strowman versus Seth Rollins. I don't see them allowing Strowman to beat Seth, considering that Seth, the whole platform that they push Seth on is that he's the Beast Slayer. He beat fucking Brock Lesnar, something that Braun has never been able to do, and I just see that sticking in Vince McMahon's mind as he tries to write this story. And he's like, well, he beat the Beast, and this fucking big guy couldn't beat the Beast, so fuck. And also, I think that this is probably the year that Braun is going to win the Royal Rumble, so he doesn't need it right now. So I'm going Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that because for the same reason, I just can't see them putting the championship on Strowman right now.
No.
He's still very green.
Even though, again, and also, that's the other thing. We talked about Bray Wyatt. They confirmed last week that he is indeed going to challenge the winner of this match at Hell in a Cell.
who confirmed that? Who said that?
Bray Wyatt in the Firefly
In the Firefly,
Funhouse. Yeah,
he's
yeah.
gonna challenge.
Oh, that's why you weren't here last week. So the Firefly from last week,
Uh-huh.
because the rumors had been that, Bray Wyatt is going to fight the winner of this match at Hell in the Cell. So on the Firefly Funhouse, the Vince McMahon puppet shows up, and he's like, how do you get off challenging the winner of this championship match, blah, blah, blah. And then Bray goes, because I've been making these, and pulls out a wad of $100 bills, and then starts to feed
that
them
was the best one.
to the
Yeah,
Vince
that
McMahon
last
puppet.
week's was even better
And the
than
Vince
this
McMahon
week's.
puppet loves
Can't
it,
believe
and
I
then
missed
goes
these.
away.
He's eating money. It was
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
I
And it
got
was,
busy as fuck like 3 weeks ago.
dude.
Double busy. That's
every
why I'm
week-
mad at people when I find out that they're watching shows.
Yeah. But hit the YouTube and watch the Firefly
definitely
Funhouses each week.
Can't
They just get better and better. And that him feeding the Vince McMahon puppet money, just hilarious.
So great.
So ingenious.
So this is the one that
So-
actually. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. So I don't really see Braun versus the Fiend. I see Rollins versus the Fiend, but then that makes it very difficult because, like, really neither of them can lose right now. Where the hell does that go? But either way,
And I also don't think. I don't think Seth Rollins can pin Braun right now. I don't think it's the right time and the right way. I think
Yeah.
they're building Braun and he's
maybe
on a
the
roll.
Fiend.
I think there's an
disrupts the
interruption.
whole
I
thing.
think there's either an interruption or I think maybe there's I think neither of them win the title. I think that this is a good moment for the title to all of a sudden not be on anyone. Like, they hit each other, they fall down, and each one of them's arm is on the other person's arm, a double pin kind of thing. Like, this is so hard because,
Yeah.
again, you've already said the Fiend is challenging.
Yep.
Neither one of those guys, it's not time for Braun and the Fiend.
Yeah.
If the Fiend is challenging for a belt, it to me almost says he has to win.
Yeah.
He can't. I mean, Seth is literally a month away from beating Brock Lesnar for the second time this year. At best, I think the reason you think Seth is going to win is because it was a way for Braun not to go against Brock and Braun not to go against the Fiend, but to
Yeah.
save that for later. For that, so I guess if I'm picking just one, it's Seth. But I'd almost be more inclined to pick that the belt goes. That there's a double pin or some kind of weird
And it
finish
goes
that
vacant
way,
for
which
some reason.
and then you have the three of them in the match, and maybe that's intriguing. Or
Possible.
I don't know. It just to me, there's something.
That is interesting because that is, in my opinion, the only way you could possibly sort of calm down the Fiend is by making it a triple threat match and having the two go against, basically take out one.
Yeah,
Or
and
at
so
least try
so
to.
Bray doesn't have to lose.
But it's
Right.
his second match, and
And
his
I mean,
second match
what
out, he
better-
should dominate again.
I agree.
It should, you know what? It should be Seth, and he should just beat the shit out of Seth. And Seth comes out the next night. He's like, "Look, how do you do? What do you? I never can't strategize against this. You just,
Yeah.
I don't know, but that double.
Hey,
pin,
and I'll say this: if anyone is good at riding themselves into corners and getting out of it, it's Paul Heyman.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did it in ECW all the time, where guys, it's like, holy shit, we're gonna do RVD Sabu this week. You know what I mean? We're gonna do Tommy Dreamer Raven this week, and he'd always figure out a way to make those finishes be satisfying. So, and he's been doing a great job on Raw so far. Even though the ratings dipped this week, they've been steadily rising week in and week out. So the word is out that wrestling is good again. So
I think you have to do an alternate finish and not just a screwy finish. I think this is the moment to turn the business on its side a little and present a new storyline as to what's happening in this stuff. And the Fiend can interrupt. There's a lot of ways to play it. I couldn't find it specific. The double pin intrigues me. Something else has to happen with this because they've just set up so many little dominoes.
yeah. Well, we'll find out this Sunday at Clash of Champions. You picked Rollins, right?
Yes.
You picked Rollins?
I mean, it makes me wonder, like, when we make these picks, like, there's disqualification on the line on this?
Yeah. So it's all about just wins.
Okay. In that case, I could see them keeping the belt on Seth, but perhaps Braun wins by disqualification. I could see them doing the Fiend and Braun this early, and the Fiend winning, hopefully. But
Because also,
Well, if it's the Fiend and Braun, then he's got to have the belt.
but it also comes into play
I don't think so.
what
But-
Bray Wyatt said on the Firefly Funhouse. All these people that I've attacked have done something wrong to me in the past. Braun was his follower at one point, and at Survivor Series, remember Bray got in his face and was like, "I made you," you know what I mean?
Right,
I
but what
made
I'm
you,
saying is that the
and he
Fiend
attacked him.
said he's challenging for the Universal title at
Right.
the next pay-per-view.
Oh, that's
If
what he
Seth,
said?
Yeah, if
Oh,
Seth walks
okay.
away with
That's
the belt,
different.
Well, he
he
said he's
can't.
challenging the winner of the match.
So, ready? Now, I agree, because there is a caveat. If he said that, and it's, I'm going to be facing Braun because he won by DQ, but Seth has the title,
Yeah.
are you telling me that Seth Rollins is not
Well,
wrestling
I think it's
in
implied
a
that
cell?
he's wrestling whoever the champion is.
Right,
That's
but what I'm
it is.
saying is, look at it this way. If for some reason you get out of that and Braun and the Fiend are going one-on-one,
Yeah.
but the title's not on the line,
Mhm.
you don't have a Universal title Hell in the Cell match that is built in a
Yeah.
month. That's what I'm saying. So this is... Braun maybe wins it because that's the way to set that up in a short span of like... Right? Because the Universal
make the
title
decision.
has to be in the cell.
I'm going to go with Braun Strowman.
Okay.
And he wins the title?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Eddie, what do you got?
Uh...
Final answer. No
I
phone a
say,
friend.
fuck it, it's a double pin. I'm going with the double pin. I'm going all in on
There
a
it
double
is.
pin.
If you get that right, you should get 2 wins, even though we won't, but you should.
Let us know your Clash of the Champion predictions. Hit us on Twitter at Store Horsemen, on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Store Horsemen, our Instagram, whatever it is. Of course, I'll be putting it out as the question of the day, which if you follow our social medias, you've seen every single day. And I'm looking forward to the pay-per-view, guys. It should be very interesting. And then, of course, at some point, R-Truth is going to have to defend the 24/7 title some kind of way because it's Clash of Champions. Every championship
I like
is on
that
the line.
segment, by the way.
I mean, he's just good at what he does with this thing. Him and Drake
Letting
Maverick both.
the basketball player win was good.
Where can they find you guys in the meantime, Tony?
Oh, I'm on tour doing stand-up comedy on my live podcast.
Not watching Netflix.
Tickets are at TonyHinchcliffe.com. And, yeah, going to be watching Amazon. They have a whole new comedy department over there and a bunch of new documentaries that I haven't seen.
Yes,
And, yeah, excited about life.
Johnny.
Find me on Instagram and Twitter at Johnny Sports.
There you go. Eddie.
Historical roast will be at LA Comic Con this year, October 12th.
Very nice.
Saturday, October 12th will be historical roast, and Sunday, October 13th will be fictional roast. And then October 30th, we're roasting the 1920s here at the Comedy Store. It's a Wednesday night, October 30th. The Roaring Twenties, Al Capone and Babe Ruth will be there. Make sure you watch Historical Roast on Netflix and check out Fictional Roast coming to a streaming platform to you soon.
Will racism be on the dais for the 1920s roast?
Oh, naturally. Babe Ruth is going to be there.
Oh, yeah, true enough. You can follow me at Chris_please. Like I said, follow us at Store Horsemen. Keep giving us those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. Keep subscribing to the Patreon. Like I said, we put up 2 episodes this month, you fucking lucky bastards. Wow. We're going to be doing more. Subscribe to the YouTube page. More shit coming to that soon now that we figured all this other stuff out. It's only been 2 years. Whatever. Never forget, Store Horsemen are your hookup. Holla if you hear us.